All right, we're gonna work on deviating from the kit instructions pretty significantly, mostly because I'm just not a fan of the look, and just to clean up the passenger side of the seating area. So I am going to be installing an E-Stopp brake. So it's electric. Let me show you what we got here. I'm gonna start mocking it up and figuring out where we're gonna put it, etc., how to get it mounted up and everything. So flip you around. So that's it. So it's like a big electronic actuator, pretty beefy. And with this side here, will pull on your e-brake line in and out to put the car in park, basically, so it won't roll away. So I gotta figure out where I'm gonna mount it, probably do some cutting, some drilling, and we'll go from there. All right. So I've kind of picked a spot where I'm probably going to mount that actuator, and I'll show you kind of what I got in mind, and then I'll put it down there in place and see how everything's going to fit up. So let's flip you around and show you. So this is from the top side. So passenger side over here, I'm thinking about mounting the actuator on that transmission mount bracket, brace, whatever down there. It looks like there's plenty of room in this whole area here on the upper side of that bracket so that the actuator doesn't hang low. Yeah, we'll temporarily mount it up in there and see what I got to do. Probably this piece right here is not going to be used anymore. That's one of the brackets left over for the e-brake, the manual handle e-brake. Probably going to leave that in place. Might have to put in a different type of bracket here for that actuator to go through, soften the angle a little bit. We'll see. We'll take a look once we get it in there. Alright, so before I start mocking up this E-Stopp some more, I need to make sure that the cable's fully extended on the actuator. So I'm going to hook it up to a 12-volt power source and get it all the way extended so that I can start fitting that up.